Hey everyone, what is up? If you are new here, welcome to my channel, and if you're returning, welcome back. So today we are going to be talking about dating in Germany versus dating in the United States. Now these are two very different things, and I'm going to explain why. So without further ado, let's get started. So in the US, a lot of relationships start with an app. And what I mean by this is that there's a prominent use of Tinder, Plenty of Fish, OkCupid, and Bumble in the US. And a lot of people meet their significant other on that platform. And that is totally fine and totally great to meet your significant other on apps. So these apps are called dating apps, but they're usually meant for people who are
DTF,
for people looking for a one-night stand, or for people looking for
friends with benefits.
And there are people who really are looking for a long-term relationship. And you see these people are really getting settled down in their mid-20s or even early 20s and getting married. And they're really finding somebody of their dreams, which is great. But most of the time, dating apps kind of have a stigma on them. And that is that they're not for dating, they're for casual fun. The next thing is that guys in the US are actually quite extroverted, which means that they're probably going to make the first move with you. 9 times out of 10, these guys, they'll come up to you and they'll shower you with a ton of compliments. They'll say things like,
You're hot, you're sexy, I love your dress, your hair is so nice, your eyes are beautiful,
and so on and so forth until you've been showered with so much affection and so much love, and then they make their next step.
If you seriously want to start talking to a woman because you think she's attractive or I can like her really a lot, you never go up to her and be like, hey sexy, what's up, or you're hot and I like your body and whatever. You're absolutely casual and serious, and maybe if you meet the second time, you can bring in like a compliment like, you're looking great tonight, or I really like whatever, your eyes, or something like that. It's really making the woman compliments, but you're never going up to her and be like, hey, I'm Michael, you're beautiful. Hey babe, let's fuck. That's never how that will go. That's not serious for women here.
And the next step to this is pretty normal in most cases in the US. We put a lot of emphasis on first dates. And I'm not really sure why, but everybody just calls it the big first date. And basically, the guy will come in his car, usually pick you up, and you'll go to a movie theater, a restaurant, or some other fun thing to do like putt-putt golf or bowling or whatever. Generally, these dates, you get really all dressed up, you look nice, you want to be pretty for the man. Sometimes on these first dates, guys will show up with some roses for you or some other kind of flower, and they'll open the door and be gentlemanly, which is really great and nice. To continue on the path of being gentlemanly, most of the time, the guy pays for the first date. Now, this isn't always the case, as I've had dates where I've made sure that I have paid for the date, or I have paid for at least my portion of this. And my reasoning for this has always been that what if you don't really like the guy that much after getting to know him on the date? Or what happens if the date was bad? And so generally after these dates, it's all great and fun, and the guy will take you back home. Once he takes you back home, generally he'll open your car door for you, bring you to your front door, and you as the woman have the option to invite him in or the date is over. And usually when he brings you to the door, you're expected to give him a kiss. So you guys have your first kiss as a couple. It can be quite awkward sometimes, or it can be amazing. It just depends on the experience that you have. So those are the general dating cultures in the US. And in Germany, this is not always the case.
In general, dates in Germany look like that you meet each other on a specific meeting point. Can be a restaurant for the first date, could be a movie theater, could be also a park because it's summer and good weather and you want to do a walk with each other or something like that. So you meet the first time on a neutral ground and you're not picking the other person up. And if you're going into the movie theater or anything which costs money, if you're a gentleman, you're always paying everything for the women. If you're going out on a date, and maybe if you have a car, you ask at the end if you can bring her back home or something like that. You're at least offering that. It's mostly that the woman is like, no, I'm fine and stuff, and these like bringing the woman home comes at a later point, at a like third or fourth date. That's more how dating here looks like.
A lot of people have a different kind of dating culture in the US. And what I mean by this is there's actually a way to dating that is quite backwards in the US, and I don't agree with this at all. And what I mean by this is that generally in the relationship, you have sex first, then you talk about exclusivity, like,
Are we in a relationship or not? Are you my boyfriend or not? What kind of relationship are we having?
and then after that, you're in the relationship. For me, I always found no value in this, because when you're growing up as a kid and you see all of these movies, and even your parents always tell you to value yourself and value your body, but in this case, it's really being turned around. You already kind of did everything, and now you're in a relationship with that person, and I mean, what's so special about it other than the fact that he's your boyfriend? I mean, there really is none. And so this is quite different in Germany, where
The relationship chain in Germany is more that you meet each other and get to know each other before you have the first time sex with each other. Of course, with the younger generation, that also happens, like you have first sex and then you see what's going on. But normally you date each other and like go out for walks or in restaurants or bars, do fun things together and know what the other person is like, and then maybe you end up one day in bed with each other or not. So that's more what it is here. So
now, one of the hardest things and the most stressful things to do in the beginning of dating somebody in the US is the fact that you have to define the relationship or talk about exclusivity. This is one of the topics that is actually generally really hard to talk about with a guy. And this is because even though you are seeing that guy, you guys are dating, you guys are having fun, it doesn't mean that you guys are in a relationship, and it doesn't mean that he's not seeing 3 or 4 other girls. You guys can be spending so much time together, going out on dates weekly, and having him stay over at your house, but that doesn't mean that you guys are in a relationship at all. That just means you guys are dating. And in this case, both of you guys have the right to go see other people while you're even in this period. And so a lot of people are stressing in this period, since you guys have done it all, what makes the man actually want to stay with you? And a lot of the time, there really isn't anything. And that's why the talk about exclusivity is really stressful, and it can seem like a huge burden when you're going through this.
if I date a woman in Germany, or if Germans date a woman, it's mostly that is then also the only woman they're dating at that point, except if it is just like a sex dating, then they have like multiple women, I guess. But if it should be something casual and something serious, it's the only woman they're dating at that point.
One of the next things, as I said already, guys in the US are super extroverted. They'll shower nice words upon nice words on you. They'll tell you you're hot. They'll tell you you're sexy. They'll say that your eyes are beautiful. They'll compliment you to no end. And this isn't the case in Germany. So in the US, the guys tell you how they feel. They tell you different things, but it doesn't mean that they actually feel that way.
With a person I love, I show them more that I really love them instead bringing it in words over to the other person. German guys show their emotions more through actions than through words.
You know what they say, actions speak louder than words. The next thing is that in the US, there's a definite hierarchy in relationships. As we already explained, men pay for basically everything. And honestly, they make the decisions of the relationship too. They're expected to ask you if they want to be in a relationship. They're expected to ask you if you want to marry them. And they're pretty much seen as the man of the house and the person who makes decisions. And this isn't so in Germany.
I think today in the 21st century, it's definitely that it is a more equal relationship where both sides have their influence on. if you go like 30, 40, 50 years back here in Germany, it was definitely that the men were in charge of the relationship, where also the women needed to ask the husband, am I allowed to go work or something like that. It was not that often that it was already an equal relationship in that time, but I think today it's really more an equal thing than somebody is in charge or not in charge, and then it really depends a little bit on the two personalities if somebody's more or less in charge. You define the relationship here a little bit based on your feelings for the other person, on your emotional situation around the other person, and it's more than a conversation between A and B, and you decide that together, and it's not just one person. It can be the woman who asks the man, it can be the man who asks the woman if they want to be together now and in a relationship and exclusive with each other. It can be both ways. It's only stressful if the other one doesn't like you.
One of the last things that I want to bring up is that in the US there is such a stigma on sex. And what I mean by that is there's a stigma on the subject of sex and sexuality, but there's a stigma particularly on women in the US and sex. If you've had sex with more than one partner, or even sometimes a few partners, you're automatically labeled as a hoe.
What's a hoe in German?
Schlampe, die Schlampe.
This isn't the same in Germany. They don't go around throwing around the term
Du bist eine Schlampe, sie ist eine Schlampe.
like they are not doing that in Germany.
The point is in Germany that you're never asking the other person until you're really like months or years in your relationship with how many people she had sex before or he had sex before. And I personally don't judge somebody as a hoe just because they had with one or two or three other people sex before I had sex with them, so I don't see there the problem. It's more like an elderly cliche.
In the US, this is one of those things that becomes particularly annoying. I'm not saying that in all generations and all different places they're doing this, but at least when I was growing up in the area that I grew up, and really in the generation that I grew up in, a lot of people really were like this. And at that point, you're not only just labeled as a hoe, you're tied to your ability in bed, and you're tied to the amount of people that you've slept with. And not just one person knows this, not just two people know this. If you're labeled as a hoe, everybody in your friend group will know, everybody in your school will know, and everybody in general in that community of that age group will know that you are a hoe. And this leads to a lot of unwanted advances by people. And to build upon that, not only are you labeled as a hoe if you've been with multiple people in the US, but the term kiss and tell is so real. And what I mean by this, if you don't know, Kesha has a song called Kiss and Tell. And basically, it's that once guys sleep with you, they go to their friend group, they go to people at school, and they're talking about like,
Yeah, bro.
I fucked her.
I think that Germans think about women if they had a lot of guys before, that they are good in bed or good in sex. But that doesn't need to be true. It also can be that the guys were boring and everything is boring with her. So I guess it's also more like a cliche. But you definitely judge somebody a little bit by that if they're good or not good in sex-related things. In Germany, you talk more just to your close friends about sex and with whom you had sex and what happened, and not just in general. It's more like a close topic you keep for yourself and enjoy it by yourself, and maybe talk to your best friend about that. I guess women are also a little bit more open talking about that topic with their like women best friend, or if they have a gay boy best friend, then it's also an open topic there. But for me personally, I'm not running around and telling everybody how my sex life is. It's just something between me and maybe my best friend, but that's it. We say ein Gentleman schweigt und genießt, which means a gentleman is silent and enjoys.
well everybody, we hope that you enjoyed this video today. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. I post videos every Tuesday. If you have any requests on videos that you would like in the future, definitely put it in the comments below. If you also have had the same experience with dating a German, or you can relate to anything in this video, definitely tell me in the comments below. I will be definitely interested to see if everybody is like this German here that I'm with. Anyways, guys, I hope you have a really great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon. See you next Tuesday.
Tschüss.